the Venus statue, Dolly Parton, Salma Hayek. These are some of the world's biggest busts. We're talking fantasy football busts right here. Producer, hit that button. Welcome to another edition of the Fantasy Forecast with Grindberg and Biggs. I am Biggs. He is Grindberg. Schultze is on the moon, apparently.
The moon.
He's taking a vacation, and he's not here. So we're having trouble hitting the buttons and stuff. Anyway, we're here to talk about our fantasy bust predictions for 2026. How you doing, Mike?
Oh man, busting it out already. Hey, Biggs, busting the gut in the intro. You got me going here. I'm ready to go, folks. I'm sure you're all ready as well after that sick open from Biggs. And yeah, we're ready to talk about busts. It's go time, right? We're only a couple of weeks away from the season starting, and a lot of noise happening in camps, and we're ready to go here, Biggs. Let's talk about some busts that we don't want to be drafting at this stage. So let's get this party started and talk about. Okay, hold on. I got to get my graphic up here because I don't have it. Why don't you just start talking about your guy there, Biggs? And
so I have this guy in my home league as one of my quarterbacks, and so this hurts and pains me. This bust is not necessarily anything other than vibes driven. Like, there's no quote unquote real analysis that goes behind this. There is a stat line that kind of justifies it. Okay, so in 2018, this quarterback finished as QB 14 in PPR. In 2019, he finished as quarterback 2. 2020, quarterback 32. 2021, quarterback 8. 2022, quarterback 18. 2023, quarterback 3. 2024, quarterback 31. 2025, quarterback 6. So as you can see, this guy is outside the top 12, but inside the top 10 every other year. And that is Dak Prescott, quarterback of the era Dallas Cowboys. This is an even year. If we look at Dak Prescott's track record, every even year is pretty terrible. Every odd year is pretty great. This is an even year. He does have some weapons. Jake Ferguson is an elite tight end. CeeDee Lamb is an elite wide receiver. George Pickens played himself into a huge role last year when CeeDee Lamb was hurt. And Dak Prescott is a really, really good quarterback when he plays an entire season. But when he plays, when he gets hurt, he's pretty, he doesn't put the numbers up. So this being the even year, Dak Prescott, don't draft him. Biggest bust
on the slate here. I mean, if we look at a couple of the wide receivers we have here too, it might be destined for this one here, Biggs. Yeah, I mean, you're going with.
I just saw the show sheet. Spoiler alert.
This is a fun one here. I don't think we're all down on the Cowboys. It just maybe their ADPs are just a little bit steep for what we're looking at here. And then, like Biggs mentioned, look at the stats here based off of 1 year on, 1 year off. It's almost in parallel here, especially after 2020. So
it's uncanny, and it can't happen again.
Can it?
But it's happened every year since 2014. Like, yeah. It's such a trend. Like, it's at the same time absolutely impossible, yet also it just keeps happening.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. It's tough because I think the ADP is pretty dialed in right now in redrafts. So, like, just a matter of what round you can get these guys in. And that's why, Jalen Hurts is a fade for me. I mean, the last time I faded him, he really went off in 2024. So I'm really, hesitant to do this, but I'm not thinking that he's going to get back to that rushing upside he was, 2 years ago. I see what they did in the draft. They spent significant draft capital on Mekhi Lemon, Eli Stowers, and obviously Devonta Smith. Like, these guys aren't, down the field contested catch weapons that he's going to be hucking it up to. These guys are kind of in the middle type guys that, Jalen Hurts isn't normally used to doing. He doesn't like to throw up the middle. And I think with the new offensive coordinator, they're shifting towards that. And at the same time, Saquon Barkley remains the engine on the ground. This is Saquon's backfield, and the more the Eagles lean into him, the fewer rushing opportunities are left for the quarterback. Look at what happened last year. That offensive line was really banged up, and now they're coming back healthy, which probably means good things for Hurts, but I just don't see that rushing upside anymore that he was 2-3 years ago. I just don't see the design plays going that way. I see them more so in the middle. So this might just be a hunch that I have on this, but at QB6, you need to have that dual threat ceiling to really fully return your investment. And without it, that price becomes a little bit difficult to justify. You look at guys around him, Jaden Daniels now has Stephon Diggs there with Terry McLaurin, some veteran presence there. Look at what Drake May did last year. I like Caleb Williams this year as an ascension. You look at other guys going in that range as well. So I like Trevor Lawrence. I like, Justin Herbert. These guys I'm taking at cost better than Jalen Hurts. You're just hitting at a range where it's not, where I want to be hitting on. So QB6 is just that price a little bit more so that he's not going to have that rushing production that he's had in the past. So I could be eating crow again, but that's just my take here, guys.
So what do we do in Omega where we have Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts? Oh wait, no, we don't have Jalen Hurts. What happened to our Jalen
Mahomes? We
Oh
traded. We made
yeah.
that trade. So
That's right. That's because we're out on Jalen Hurts this year.
There it is.
I'm not, but
I'm a little bit out on his price. Now, this one's going to be a shocker because I think both these guys are priced pretty close to where they should be, but we're both fading some wide receivers from the Dallas Cowboys. You can start with your guy here, Biggs.
All right. So I'm going to preface this with saying that if it wasn't for George Pickens, Mike and I wouldn't be here. I love me some George Pickens. I've always loved George Pickens, and I've always been super, super high on his upside. And I've always believed that he was never given the opportunity that he should have warranted, that he should have earned. He had 3 awful years in Pittsburgh where he was misused, and he wasn't their primary guy. And his yards per catch were great, but he wasn't targeted enough. And then finally he goes to a different situation in Dallas where he is ostensibly, again, the wide receiver 2 in a wide receiver room that includes CeeDee Lamb, who's one of the top 5 wide receivers in the NFL. George Pickens has a fantastic year. His year was propped up by the fact, though, that CeeDee Lamb got hurt. And after the first couple weeks of the season, weeks 3 through 7, CeeDee Lamb was kind of on the mend. We saw in week 1, George Pickens had 4 targets and 6 points. In week 2 and 3, he had 9 targets each, finished with top 16 returns. And then he had his incredible week in week 6, week 4, both of those weeks, his highest finishes of the year. He finishes wide receiver 2, over 30 points in fantasy, but CeeDee Lamb was not on the field with him. When CeeDee Lamb came back after week 7, George Pickens had a couple of the worst weeks of his season. George Pickens' fantasy standing in 2025 as wide receiver 5 was propped up by the fact that CeeDee Lamb was not on the field. I love George Pickens. His talent is through the roof. He is a boundary guy. He's a contested catch guy. He's hyper athletic. He's got a great profile, and he should be the wide receiver 1 in some room. If the Cowboys had let him go to the Las Vegas Raiders, he would be the wide receiver 1 in that room and absolutely dominate. But the fact is that he is on the same field at the same time as CeeDee Lamb, and his numbers in 2025 reflect the fact that CeeDee Lamb was hurt. Fade George Pickens. He's not a wide receiver 5, not at this point, not until he is the dominant alpha in a room, and he's not that right now.
Yeah, this is a tough situation. I mean, it's both these guys have top 10 upside, and they're probably maybe going to hit that. I mean, I think they did
We
last
just
year.
talked about Dak Prescott having a down year. How is
Exactly.
George Pickens going to have a return to wide receiver 5 with CeeDee Lamb healthy and Dak Prescott having a down year? Like, these are like things that are incompatible.
And then my downplay here is potential bust here is CeeDee Lamb at wide receiver 5, because I see George Pickens as a real threat now. You know, I see him being an alpha dog, and they're both very elite at talented. And you know, if we're banking on Dak Prescott having a down year, I see a couple guys that I like in that range here. Jefferson, I have ahead of CeeDee Lamb at this stage. JSN, Puka Nakua, Jamar Chase, the familiar faces. Wide receiver 5 for CeeDee Lamb. I got a big year headed here for Drake London. I think he's going to have a monster season this year. Malik Neighbors now being fully healthy without the competition. Potentially fully healthy, you know, that's a top 5 finish potentially there. I like Chris Olave again. You know, I'm not saying he's going to outdo CeeDee Lamb, but there's a couple guys I like at price here that don't have the competition that CeeDee Lamb has, and I still think he finishes as a top 10 wide receiver because his big play, physical specimen, and he's great on the slot as well, plays all over the field. Obviously, Dak Prescott hyper targets him, but we're banking on a down year for Dak here. So potentially, you know, not being able to throw the ball as much, but this you know, Dallas Cowboys offense has been prolific. It's just that premium price tag for a wide receiver that's coming off an injury now, you know, has allowed a guy like George Pickens to emerge. And I just don't see them both being, you know, top 10 guys at the end of this season, maybe both top 12, but I just think it's tough. So that's my fade. And these big name guys here is CeeDee Lamb. So I guess we're down on the Cowboys maintaining such a monster pace, Bigs.
I mean, there is a world in which Dak Prescott finishes as a top 10 QB. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens each earn 120 targets. Like, if I'm the offensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys, I'm throwing the ball 700 times this year. Like, if you're Dak Prescott, you just kind of close your eyes, throw your arm out, and you got CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson, and George Pickens, who are like, one of them is going to come down with the ball. I think we're getting into the weeds here with the idea of Dak Prescott having a down year, because again, like, the combo has to break at some point. Like, is this the year that he doesn't fall off, and CeeDee Lamb has a huge year and George Pickens has a huge year also? Like, we're just trying to parse all of these things, like, happening at once or not happening at all, or happening in some kind of different combination. And I think the bottom line is it's really, really hard to read what's going to happen with the individual Dallas Cowboys. They all have the ceilings to be absolutely elite, but they all have some kind of like opportunity to have the rug just completely tugged it from underneath them. You know what I mean? Like, so I think the main takeaway from this show is just be wary. Like, if you like CeeDee Lamb, and I do, I have him over Justin Jefferson. I like the quarterback environment with Dak Prescott in a vacuum. I like Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb better than I like the Minnesota options and Justin Jefferson. In a vacuum, I like the CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens combo more than I like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins as a combo. You know what I'm saying? But I think we're like getting a little bit gun shy. shell shocked at like the opportunity for things to go wrong with the Dallas Cowboys. So that's my takeaway.
Yeah.
And with that, my running back is Javonte Will. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just joking. Yeah, no. Let's plug our DNO draft night out spiel here, Biggs. Give it another whirl.
So draft night out has traditionally been a one-off event at the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton, Ohio every year among people who are in the among the people that attend the Fantasy Football Expo. But Fantasy Sports Advice Network has taken over the draft night out, and we are expanding it. This year, it is going to include, we did have the Canton event, but we are also creating 8 online divisions so that you can participate in the draft night out. Go to draftnightout.com. It's a $22 buy-in. For that goes to charity. You get into your league, and it's a redraft league, the winner of which gets a ring and also qualifies for a tournament that ends at the Super Bowl, or upon the Super Bowl, ends at the culmination of the Super Bowl. And the winner of that whole thing, there's one winner of Draft Night Out, and they get a championship belt, PlayStation 5, Madden 27, bragging rights. And then next year, we expand it again. And it's going to include live draft events across the country that you can be a participant in the closest one to you, because the ooh of Draft Night Out, the appeal of Draft Night Out is everybody participating in the live event. So we're going to be doing that next year. Get in now. When you pay your $22 buy-in, you get a free month of Fantasy Sports Advice Network Pro Plus membership. So Sellout Crowds is a great community for you to get into, get involved with. Social media app, talk football, talk your things, talk your sports. It's all great, and we want you to be a part of it. I'm in the Brian Bosworth division. If you think you can beat me, come join the Brian Bosworth division and give your best go.
Let's do it, Biggs. Love the breakdown for our folks, and yeah, good opportunity to hone your skills and maybe be in a room with one of us. So love it. Okay, let's continue on here, Biggs, and let's get into our spotlights, where we're spotlighting our running back bus.
Biggs! Grindberg!
All right, my bust for 2026 at running back is going to be D'Andre Swift of the Chicago Bears. So essentially, we have D'Andre Swift going into his age 27 season. That's about when we start to see running backs fall off. D'Andre Swift has been kind of a boomer bust guy. He's had a couple of big years. We saw him in Detroit. We thought that he was going to be one of your very, very special third down backs. A lot of receiving, a lot of wiggle, a lot of efficiency on the ground. And then he went to Philly, and then he went to Chicago. And in Chicago, he's had a 900-yard season and a 1,000-yard season, but I think he's about to fall off. I'm looking at his ADP at 23. He has basically lived up to that every single season of his career. He's never finished below 23, but I think there's a big possibility of that happening. Kyle Monangai was a rookie last year, took some time to acclimate. I think he's going to take a larger portion of that Chicago Bears offense. I think they're going to be looking for Colston Loveland and Luther Burden and Rome Odunze a little bit more in the passing game. I'm looking at some similar ADPs in redraft, and just behind D'Andre Swift at 23 is David Montgomery. I would take D'Andre Swift over David Montgomery. Bashal Tutin, I think I'm going with Tutin and his upside over Swift. Jadarian Price, I think Jadarian Price is going to carve out a bigger role in Seattle than Swift will have in Chicago. Jalen Warren, I'm higher on Jalen Warren than just about anybody else, and I would rather take him. So there are options that I think are going to outscore D'Andre Swift. Kyle Monangai, I think, is going to have a better year than D'Andre Swift. D'Andre Swift at ADP 23 is going to be my biggest bust of the season.
And there you have it. Yeah, I mean, you broke it down the way you liked it. I mean, Monangai coming on here last year and becoming a little bit more of the up the middle kind of guy. I think he brings some grit to that lineup, and I think he's going to have some stake in there. I mean, Swift I'm still pretty high on, but I mean RB19 is certainly a price to pay for that uncertainty, and I think he's going to hit around that, but certainly the question marks there. And if Monangai does carve out a bigger role like you think he is, then yeah, absolutely Swift is a fade there. So all right, my spotlight. Now, Biggs kind of mentioned this guy on our, high risk, high reward show a couple weeks ago, and still a little bit skeptical.
Change the graphic, Mike.
I could call Biggs. I'm going to do that right now as I go back on here. Yeah.
Where is Schultze? Why is Schultze here?
There you go.
Schultze!
We just need you to remind me to
Schultze.
do it. There it is. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going with Quinshon Judkins as a mid-round running back who's supposed to deliver reliable RB2 production, but in Cleveland's environment right now, I think that might be a stretch. I think he's going to come out of the gate slow when they figure out this offense. I think they're going to spend far too much time playing from behind, especially early on, which is directly going to limit his red zone opportunities and his touchdown upside for this running back. Even in the new system under Todd Monken, in the additions of young receivers like Casey Concepcion and Denzel Boston, who we are all high on headed into this process, both those guys I think are going to do well in that system, but the quarterback situation is still unresolved between Deshaun Watson and Shadur Sanders. That kind of instability rarely creates the positive gain scripts that turn volume into consistent fantasy points. We saw him get bottled up a lot last year in a very bad situation. At RB20, you need a clearer path to weekly viability. And right now, Judkins is being asked to produce in an offense that has struggled to support any skill level at a high level player, right? So what makes this fade clean for me is the opportunity cost in that range. There are several running backs going near Judkins that I'd rather have in that range. Bashal Tutin, obviously, I was high on him through the opportunity here. Like that a lot of people are high on Chris Rodriguez. I think they're both going to eat in this offense for sure. And I think some other guys that I would be a little bit more, willing to pay up for. Cam Scatabo going one spot earlier. David Montgomery, I think, is going to have a very big season there in Houston. Tre'Veon Henderson, that upside, I know out of the gate that might be tough, but I think down the stretch, his league winning upside is going to be there. Chev mentioned it on the Pulse a couple of weeks ago that he's high on Tre'Veon Henderson. Jadarian Price, another guy I'd be willing to take over that because of the offensive situation there. They're going to be scoring more points. So just a couple guys that I just a little bit more safer for me in this range of the draft. I'm not buying into this Cleveland Browns offense very much outside of, some dart throws on Denzel Boston and Casey Concepcion. So at the price, I think he might finish around RB24. So I think that's a bust. I think the ADP at running back is pretty tight right now. It's very well, landscape, but there's quite a few running backs I'm going to take over him in that range, Biggs.
Yeah, I had him as a high risk, high reward. You're making a high risk, drafting him as high as his ADP is. Some of the efficiency just wasn't there last year, and we don't know if that's going to return with Cleveland being a garbage fire. If he hits, he's going to bring a high reward. So I guess I'm just repeating myself from a few shows ago. But I do agree that as things look right now, he does look like a bust of his ADP.
All right, sir. Another great show in the books here. Tell everybody what we got going on the network, like you always do, buddy.
What do we have going on the network?
I don't know, man. Some stuff.
Oh, I know. Shows all the time. We're about I don't know when this show is airing, but as of this recording, the Hall of Fame game, I believe, is tomorrow. So whenever you're watching this, the first preseason game of the season, like Hard Knocks just premiered last night. So we're like less than a month, I think, away from the beginning of the season. You know what that means, you guys? You need to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell because you need to be notified when our shows are coming up, because the fantasy forecast is going to be running multiple shows per week. We're going to be talking starts, we're going to be talking sits, we're going to be talking injuries, we're going to be talking all that stuff. Breakfast with Biggs on Sunday mornings, I will take your starts and sits questions and build you a breakfast brunch slash breakfast slash brunch cocktail. I have a great premiere that's based on the chocolate eggnog that I did last year. It's not going to be that, but it's going to be in the similar vein. I'm going to be launching the season of Breakfast with Biggs with a fantastic cocktail that when we are getting closer, I will tell you the ingredients you need so you can mix it up with me. So that's all coming. We have a ton of shows that are going to be in-season content for you to help you win, because that's what we do here at Fantasy Sports Advice Network. We want to see you in the comments. We want to see you arguing with us. We want to see you agreeing with us. So go ahead and get all that stuff, going, liking, subscribing, hitting the bell, commenting in the chat, all that stuff. Sellout Crowds is a fantastic social app you need to get on. Get your Pro Plus membership, get involved in all the action, become a better fantasy football player. If you've never played Dynasty Fantasy Football before, get into a Dynasty League and then start watching the Dynasty Pulse. We got so many shows on so many different things on this Fantasy Sports Advice Network hub. And draftnightout.com. Go to there and get involved in our Draft Night Out event this year. And Fantasy Sports Advice Network. We help you win.
We help you win, folks. See you next week. Peace.